Money. Some people have it, some people don't. Some people understand it, and most people spend their entire lives chasing it, without ever truly knowing what it is. We often imagine money as math, numbers, calculations, budgets, spreadsheets, an equation to solve. But money is rarely just math, because the most important financial decisions are almost never made in front of calculators. They're made at kitchen tables, in childhood homes, during arguments, inside moments of fear, pride, ego, insecurity, hope. Money is where cold arithmetic collides with human emotion, and that changes everything. Because financial success is not only about what you know, it's about how you behave. This idea was powerfully explored in Morgan Housel's The Psychology of Money, a reminder that wealth is often less about intelligence and more about psychology. So to understand money, you first have to understand people, because every person has what you could call financial DNA. We all grow up differently. Different parents, different incomes, different fears, different values. Some grew up watching money disappear. Others grew up never worrying about it. Some were taught to save every penny. Others were taught to spend because tomorrow isn't guaranteed. And these early experiences quietly shape how we see money for the rest of our lives. Take two people. One grew up during inflation, where prices constantly rose and uncertainty was normal. Another grew up in economic stability, where inflation felt distant and harmless. Both may look at the same economy and see completely different realities. The same is true with investing. A generation that saw stocks soar may trust markets. A generation that saw crashes may fear them. Same world, different experiences, different beliefs. That's why people can make completely opposite financial decisions, and both believe they're being rational. Because people don't make money decisions based only on facts. They make them based on personal history, their own story. As Housel puts it, people do crazy things with money, but no one is crazy. And that's powerful, because what looks irrational from the outside often makes perfect sense from the inside. Now this brings us to one of the greatest forces in finance: compounding. Warren Buffett is often seen as one of the greatest investors in history, and he is. But his true superpower wasn't just investing skill, it was time. Buffett started investing as a child. That means he didn't just earn returns, he gave those returns decades to multiply. And compounding is deceptively simple. Money makes money. Then that money makes more money. And over enough time, small beginnings can become unimaginable outcomes. This is why starting early can matter more than starting big, because compounding rewards time more than talent. And this lesson goes beyond money. Small, smart decisions, repeated consistently, can create extraordinary results. But here's where human psychology interferes. Most people underestimate compounding because the early results feel small, slow, boring, invisible. We want immediate proof. But wealth often grows quietly before it grows dramatically. And that's why patience becomes a financial advantage. Now let's talk about something equally powerful: pessimism. When it comes to money, fear sells better than optimism. Bad news spreads faster. Market crashes, recessions, losses. Why? Because money affects survival. So our brains naturally pay more attention to danger than progress. A sudden financial crash grabs headlines instantly, but decades of gradual economic improvement? Often ignored. Good things usually take time, and slow progress rarely feels exciting. That's why people often overestimate short-term risk while underestimating long-term opportunity. Optimism doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means believing that, despite setbacks, progress is possible over time. And history repeatedly shows that it often is. Then there's another uncomfortable truth: luck and risk. Bill Gates was brilliant, but he also had access to rare opportunities few others had. Talent mattered, but timing, environment, and chance mattered too. This doesn't reduce achievement, it adds perspective. Because success is rarely just skill, and failure is not always just incompetence. Life is shaped by both choices and circumstances. Understanding this creates humility. It reminds us to work hard, but also stay aware that unseen forces often influence outcomes. And perhaps the biggest lesson of all, money's greatest value is not status, it's freedom. True wealth is not about luxury cars or public displays. It's about control over your time, the ability to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, for as long as you want. That is one of the highest forms of financial success, because money without freedom can still feel like a cage. And finally,